had mentioned I'm going to talk a little bit on unemployment. I might not talk a little bit. I might talk not more, not a lot, but at least definitely more than a little bit. So unemployment. It actually refers to the situation of a jobless worker. Okay, that's unemployment. The unemployment rate measures the number of unemployed workers as a percentage of the total labor force. Massive unemployment levels are the result of situations of economic crisis, followed by depressions, and are principally the result of a large economic readjustment, which is studied in a term that I'm going to use now, business cycles theory. During the Great Depression of 1929-39, unemployment insurance benefits were introduced in the United States in order to reduce the consequences of high unemployment levels. The measure was introduced to prevent workers' misery, as a way of maintaining effective demand, as mentioned in the Keynesian fiscal policy proposals. Unemployment can be divided into different types depending on its cause and depending on if it is involuntary or voluntary. So we're going to talk about involuntary unemployment and voluntary unemployment right now. Now, classical unemployment is explained as the situation that exists in the labor market when the number of people able and willing to work at the prevailing wage levels exceeds the number of vacancies available. In simple words, demand and supply do not meet. This occurs when real wages are higher than those corresponding to the equilibrium level at full employment levels actually. Now this type of unemployment was explained by the classical school of economists as those cases in which certain imperfections prevented unemployed people from reducing their aspirations to lower their wages so that firms will believe it is interesting to create new jobs and hire people. Just like in any market, any product that a company or a firm wants to sell, to get more interest from out of the market for themselves, they reduce the prices to some extent. Even employees or the unemployed workforce would, in this classical theory, go in to be ready to accept lower wages than what is prevalent in the market, so that employers or firms would find it quite amusing and interesting to create further employment opportunities. Now, friction and unemployment, which is also referred to as searching unemployment, happens when a person is temporarily unemployed and between jobs. This is the unemployment in its theoretical lowest possible level. It occurs when even in full employment conditions, because a considerable number of people are moving from one job to another almost always. The only way to reduce this kind of unemployment is for economic institutions to make information more readily available. That's about frictional unemployment. Now we'll talk about structural unemployment also out here. Structural unemployment occurs when people are actually unable to find jobs in which their skills can be useful because their skills are no longer demanded, or they're so advanced that the skills are not yet demanded. Like in my case, I remember I'm in India, in a city called Kolkata, previously Calcutta, one of the largest cities of the world. I remember when I was just about 21, 22, I had this notion of going into a position where I would not only perform my duties and responsibilities as per the policy that framed those duties and responsibilities of the firm, but also do other things. So I called it multitasking, where I would not only work in the admin department, but also in the operations department, sometimes in the HR department, helping them out. And I found it very interesting to be able to do multiple tasks at once and get more and be given more responsibility, more, not just duties were just focused on my primary position, but responsibilities came from various departments. And people, my peers and my co-workers would think I'm an idiot. When I mastered this thing of multitasking, I wouldn't say I mastered it completely, but I definitely, up to a point, I mastered it. At the age of 29, my toilet roll was paid for. By the age of 30, when my son was born, I started relocating from regions to other regions. And in my relocations, I always made sure my family was with me. Now, out here, what I'd like to mention is, at the age of 22, I started believing in this thing called multitasking. And at the age of 29, after 7 years, my toilet roll was also paid for. I reached that height. At the age of 30, I started relocations. At the age of 30 itself, I settled down in one city. At the age of 34, 35, I took the decision of doing my own stuff, being my own boss, and using my skill sets and all that I learned over approximately 15, 20 years, and channelize them into various fields. At the age of 38, I was designated by various governments across the globe and various autonomous global organizations as an international trade facilitator. I haven't started teaching because my wife gives tuitions at home. So she asked me to help her out, and I even started teaching. Now, it seems there's a ritual today, a festivity. So my father's here, he's blessing me. I'll just take about a couple of minutes off. This is the Hindu system. We have our new year coming on. So today seems to be the last day of our past year. It's a Bengali New Year. We call it Nobo Borsho or Poila Boishak. Okay, so I'll just continue. That's my dad you saw in the picture. Okay, now today I'm here giving you this example because although many have thought I've been a failure in life, my experience, my constant dynamism, my ability to not waver from the beliefs, the values, and the thoughts that I had and which were inculcated in me by various people, made me come to a point where I realize, and I'm still realizing and finding further, learning a lot more and realizing a lot more, that come a time we all need to give back. Today, those who have always thought me to be a failure are the very same people who keep coming back to me for advice and for help, and for me to use my credentials, for those who know what I do actually, to use my credentials to help them out. Now, had I been a failure, would this situation arise? I'm just questioning. It's for you all to decide, and for those who have wavered in their thoughts and the judgment of me, who need to think. This is a part of structural unemployment where, you know, because the skills are no longer demanded or the skills are yet not demanded. This is why I explained my situation and what I have gone through. Today we hear a lot about multitasking. I remember I had a few friends. The internet was not that much accessible at that time, but I had many friends across the globe. We all discussed, and many of us thought of this as multitasking. And this term came up finally, even in management and in studies and in commerce, God knows what not, in HR, where people today have taken to be, they understand what multitasking is. Frankly, the difference between today's multitaskers and people like us who came up with it is that today's multitaskers know, are informed, are educated on multitasking. We feel it. So we are always, initial multitaskers are always more valuable and more demanded than run of the mill multitaskers. Multitaskers today know they have to do it. It's a part of their job. It's not out of passion or out of the desire to learn more that they become multitaskers. It's demanded, so they're multitaskers. In our case, we had a passion to learn more. So we worked across various departments, across various industries, across various fields, across various locales, across various strata, across various positions. And finally, we've come up to a position where we know what's required. In fact, I was requested to come up with these videos and make it as impersonal, make these videos as impersonal as possible. That's like I'm, disheveled or the way I am with a torn t-shirt or something. I'll show you. I'm in my half pants. Just a moment. I'll just show you. I'm in my half pants. Okay. I think this is the mirror. I'm in my half pants. Okay. And this is the computer I'm on. And, my notepad and everything all around, cigarette packets and all. And I'm videographing myself on my mobile. Okay. It's just a Redmi Note 4. And yet, I've been getting a lot of appreciation from various organizations, various people, various students from across the world who want me to come with more videos and all of this. So I will, if I get a good subscriber base. I'm going to give this a shot till for another month or so, as long as the lockdown remains. Out here, I've been told the lockdown will continue till May, at least till the end of April total. Today's the 13th, so we have another 17 days. And after that, it may continue till the 10th of May. So that's 23 days out here, 13 plus 10, 23. And whether the lockdown is off or on, I don't care. I'll continue for another month. And if by that time I'm satisfied with the kind of subscriber base I have and the viewership I have, I'll definitely keep this a continual process. Otherwise, I'm sorry, I just can't waste my time. I need some kind of return from what I'm doing. I'm not doing this gratis. I'm not doing this as a charity. I'm not an NGO. I'm not asking for any payment or anything. I'm not asking for any membership charges or subscription charges or anything. Excuse me. It's not a commercial project I've come up with. It's something that people wanted, and they asked me specifically, particularly to come up with these videos, and I'm doing them. But at least I need something at least in return, and that would be a subscriber base. So however you can, if you can get me subscribers, which I'm not going to run for, I definitely want those who are viewing this and those who are more interested in these videos and these learning processes and the blog that we have, wnlearning.blogspot.com, we need a lot more subscriptions. We need to reach a definitive YouTube audience. And I've got a lot of people on LinkedIn, CEOs and all, who are coming online and appreciating, and many who know me, and many multinational companies, directors and chairmen and MDs contacting me, following me. LinkedIn itself telling me I might become an influencer to reckon with. I don't care, frankly. I'm not here to achieve those things. What I'm here to achieve is primarily to see I have a huge subscriber base. Millions would be fantastic. Where I know, these subscribers actually are learning from what I'm imparting out here. Okay, so usually in this, let's get back to the topic. Structural unemployment uh, could be the result of the reason why the reason where the skills the skills uh, may not they cannot find jobs where the skills can be useful, because their skills are either no longer demanded or are not yet demanded, and thus this creates an excess of labor supply generally, um, at definite well-defined locations. As structural unemployment is not caused as a result of a general decline in demand, it cannot be softened with reflationary type measures, but instead ad hoc economic policies are needed. Ad hoc economic policies. I've seen this. It's very, very practical. These types of policies include retaining of workers and relocation of industries, as well as the main difference between structural and frictional unemployment out here actually relies more on the time horizon. As frictional unemployment excuse me, is a long lasting phenomenon. uh, Structural unemployment is a very short term one. Okay. Now, apart from these, we have another thing called as seasonal unemployment and disguised unemployment. Now, seasonal unemployment is generally of short duration, and it is generated on a regular basis, maybe on a periodical basis, an annual basis, a seasonal basis, as the case may be, as a result of the different seasonal activities through the year. Excuse me. Like soft drink companies, especially in places like India, have the production on from March till October, fag end of October or beginning November. Now, if you've gone to a soft drink manufacturing industry, you'll see the kind of residue that remains over these 9 months, or 9 8 9 months. And excuse me, that's not the coronavirus, that's due to my cigarettes. um, these companies, these industries, these factories actually need to clean up the residues and the effluents and everything that remain. Otherwise, instead of us going in for soft drinks or cold drinks, we'll go in for more of poison. So beginning in November and pulling on till the end of Feb or beginning of March, before the spring and summers come in, the soft drink companies go in for a complete cleaning process, a complete makeover of their factories. Okay, so during this period of March, between March to November end, or let's say October end, uh, these companies employ a huge workforce, but between November and February end, we don't find this workforce. I mean, we don't find that big a workforce in these soft drink manufacturing companies. So during that period, what happens? You'll see that to produce soft drinks per bottle, the cost is very low, but the price in terms is very high. We pay a lot more than what we should for a bottle or a can of soft drinks. So that money, that extra profit that these companies make, is used partly to pay out the workforce that is almost, if not totally, almost unemployed during those 3 to 4 months of a year. Okay, so that's it about seasonal unemployment. Then we have something known as disguised unemployment. Out here, it is not actually unemployment. It refers to a principal characteristic situation of countries that are both, underdeveloped economically and or highly bureaucratized, more or less. It has a bureaucratic system in which there is a high number of workers with low levels of productivity that would be employed if the country had a better organization or better technology levels or a far better infrastructural system. Now, this is about disguised unemployment. Now, we had talked about involuntary, all that we've talked about till now is on involuntary unemployment. Now, we'll talk just a line on voluntary unemployment. Voluntary unemployment consists of workers that are jobless as they are reluctant to work due to economic, sociological, psychological reasons. That's all. There's no other explanation to it. These are the primary causes of voluntary unemployment.